안녕하세요. You're listening to 4 from On One podcast.
Welcome back to another 4 from On One podcast. This is Keith from Australia, living here in Seoul, and I'm here with my mate Gio. How are you doing, buddy?
What's up, Keith? Good to see you again.
And Hyukjun, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Your favorite Korean guy.
That's right.
So we're recording this just before we're about to get a good break. We're going into Solar New Year. Do you want to quickly explain? We did it on the last podcast, but do you want to explain, Hyukjun, what Solar New Year is?
Seollal is the Lunar New Year in Korea. We celebrate it hardest as possible. This Lunar New Year we consider as you aged really, like you really aged. So it's a different kind of like counting of age in like comparing to other countries. This is one of my favorite holiday.
Mine too.
It's the one, yeah. That's the one time we get a decent break. As we said, I get 5 days off, including the weekend. So 2 the weekend and 3 work days. So that's pretty good. So today we're going to talk about jobs. I'm in my late 30s. The other boys are in their 30s. And we're going to talk about some interesting jobs growing up as a kid, as a teenager, and going into my 20s. And I'm sure the boys got some fun jobs too. And now we're in the 21st century, 2020, where the type of job you could do is so unique that like what we're trying to do right now, it's amazing how the change of jobs that everyone's doing has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Boys, do you want to first give a bit of a background of your education? What did you do as at college?
You want to go first, Hyukjun?
Oh yeah. I studied Italian literature and business administration. Unique.
That's pretty unique. I studied English literature. My first major actually was leadership in international management. That's a mouthful. But I did that freshman year because I was going to get into business. And then I realized after taking a couple of courses, like in economics and calculus, that just wasn't for me at all. I always consider myself a writer. I love literature. So making that transition over was basically a no-brainer. And I graduated, in a concentration in creative writing and linguistics as well.
Yeah, and I did PE high school teacher with a bit of background in science. And I could also teach dance if I wanted to, but
I can see that. I can see
Right.
All right. So me and Gio, we're not from Korea. We're currently living overseas, and I've actually done quite a few jobs living overseas. Gio, what's something that's really good about living overseas and working overseas?
Well, for me, it's saving money. That's the whole reason why I left in the first place. Like many of us, I had a lot of student loans, still do to this day, 10 years later. But the chunk of change that I can save is just like astronomical compared to the US. But then again, it depends on the field that you're also working in as well. My career choices didn't pay so much. We'll talk about, obviously our previous jobs pretty soon, but that's definitely one of the perks about living abroad. And two, before the pandemic, it was just basically going to all the nearby countries. So much easier than having to fly over any oceans if you're in the US.
And Hyukjun, you worked in Australia. Oh, you've lived in Australia. Do you want to explain how you enjoyed that?
Australia is a very good country for me. I made like literally tons of money from there, and then actually I spend every single dime in there, and then
Thank you, buddy.
That's
Our
how you do
country
it.
needs it.
Way to pump the economy.
yeah, but like still I got like $3,000 from my tax return, so it was great.
Baller.
Like Aussie, wow, the tax rate, ooh man,
When you get it back, it's
that's
good.
hard.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
It's like a little Christmas bonus in July. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that.
And I lived in Canada for 4 years, and I lived in Germany for 8 months, and I've also worked on cruise ships, which I'll talk about soon, and in Korea now. So I love working overseas just because when I first did it, it was just for fun and it's just something exciting and something good. Then I would go back to Australia. A lot of my friends have moved on. Like I still friends with them and we still get along great, but they have their families, they have the kids. So I felt a bit outsider, I guess, when I went back to Australia. So I always disappear, go to a different country. I feel more accepted. I find foreigners in the same situation, same backpacker style and all that sort of stuff. Same lifestyle that I'm living compared to back in Australia where everyone's doing a 9-to-5 job, got their families, got their family friends. And I feel a bit of an outsider when I go home. Any negatives living abroad, boys? Gio?
Obviously language culture. make big
Yeah.
the difference. I can't tell you the number of times I just felt like I just couldn't communicate my thoughts. It was hard to obtain something because there was a language barrier. So that was the first thing that comes to mind easily.
And Hyukjun, how did Australia treat you? I know it can be mixed with people from an Asian country. Did you get treated well? Yeah.
Well, I basically treated well because at that time I can speak English, not this much, but
What
I can
happened?
express. Aussie people, they are friendly. They are like open to foreigners. There are always some like lunatics,
Mhm.
but like 99.9% of Aussie people that I ever contact or see, they're pretty much great people. So
Yeah.
I like Aussie people in general, and I want to go back there soon.
That's good. I'm sure we experience a little bit of that here in Korea, and I'm glad I'm part of all Australians. I hope no one treated you bad because I go into a lot of other countries, and when you do get treated a bit different, it doesn't feel nice. So
Mm-mm.
I know even in Canada, even though it's a Western country, like all the Aussies go there to work in the ski resorts, and the locals are a little bit upset by it because we take the basic wage, and we're happy to take the basic wage, so they can't bump up the wages. So they're a bit
Mhm.
annoyed with all us Aussies over there because we're happy to work for $7 an hour, $8 an hour when the locals want $10 an hour or something like this.
Taking their
So
jobs, huh?
so it's
I
not
get it.
just different continents, it's also the Western countries get a bit upset too. But let's keep on moving forward. Boys, we're going to talk about jobs and all the jobs. What was your dream job when you were a kid?
I wanted to be a star.
Yeah, me too.
When I was
Star
about
of
7
what?
years old, I always thought I would be an actor, or at least like on Broadway. I've always just wanted to be a singer, dance and sing on stage. I always enjoyed the choir in high school. I was always in drama and plays, musicals.
Wow.
Yeah, I was a little creative little guy. I was.
All
But
right.
reality, once I got older, I realized that I want to do something kind of like help people. I took like this internship at Arizona
Mm.
State where I was actually teaching English to like faculty. So I did like
Mm.
that for about a couple months, and I actually really liked it a lot. And so I thought, hey, why don't I consider this as a possible career and kind of go overseas and see if it fits, you know? And then
Mm.
obviously 10 years later, look at me now. So obviously it did.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh.
You're good on the mic. We had a bit of a night out on Saturday, which we'll talk about in a future podcast. And he was a natural on the microphone in public. He was a bit shy, but he was a natural. Hyukjun, growing up in Korea, did you have a dream job?
Like me as well as a rock star. And
I can see
but,
that.
it's a like
Mhm.
literal way of rock star. I learned how to drum in since I was like 12,
Oh,
Mm.
that's cool.
and then I was in high school band, and
Yep.
I was like leading vocal and
Ooh.
drummer as well. So I always dream myself like tens of thousand people crowding and then like cheering for me, and I'm in the middle of the stage and then rocking hard. That's
Can I ask you
that
something?
was yeah.
What was the name of your band?
It was no title.
No time to-
Oh, I
that
like
was the
that.
name or just no
Ooh, risky.
Yeah, that was so teenage thing, right?
Right
I
on.
read something from YouTube from Bono. They couldn't figure
Mhm.
out a name, and someone presented this name to him, and they all hated it.
Yeah,
And they
I
just
heard on the
couldn't. They couldn't.
radio.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
couldn't figure out a different name, so they just stuck, and he just hated it the whole time.
Yeah,
But
so he cringes
made
every time he hears the songs on the radio. He's like, "Oh, what were we
Yeah.
thinking?"
yeah.
Yeah, funny.
As a kid, I always wanted to be a sports star, and it always depends what was on TV. So in summer, all the tennis players would come to Australia. So I'd always, I did play tennis growing up, and I could be a professional tennis player. Then whenever the Summer Olympics is on, I could be go to the Summer Olympics, or when the Winter Olympics was on, I could be a skier or a curling person or something like this.
Curling.
Like,
Now that's
Curling.
the sport.
Wow,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
soccer.
Yeah,
I
you
wanted
got
to be
me.
a professional any sports star. I'd take whatever I could get,
yeah.
but I just nothing ever happens.
Man,
Yeah.
you guys, what
So-
happened to us, huh? We all wanted to be stars. Ain't that something,
Uh,
huh?
Hey, can I ask Giovanni a question? That is there any particular line that you're remembering from your plays?
I used to memorize the whole what is that soliloquy from Hamlet, that to be or not to be. I had that sucker memorized. Now I know like the first couple verses, but that's one that stands out.
All right. So now, boys, I don't know the rules in different countries, but what was your first job and how old were you?
I was 16 years old. I was a host at a Italian and Greek restaurant. It was my first job ever. And boy, was I stoked to get my first paycheck. Mhm.
Hyukjun, what's the rule here in Korea? What age can you start working here in Korea legally? Yeah.
Well, basically, if you have a consensus with your like legal guardian, like
Mhm.
parents,
Yeah.
then I think you can work like 12.
Get out of here.
Like at
Wow.
McDonald's or something like that? Or
Yeah, but like your working hour will be like limited like
Yeah.
4 hours a day, something like that, and then
Yeah.
like no more working passing 10 p.m., something like that.
Yeah.
I've,
And
well,
what was
I
your
don't-
first job?
My first job was kind of like handyman thing.
Yeah.
I was in like 14 years old, and then one of my friend's father, he is doing the like interior
Interior
subcontractor. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Interior
So
design? Yeah.
yeah. So his job is like tearing down everything inside and then make it look better. I was in there tearing down everything. Like I had a sledgehammer and then like bamming all the thing that I can see and then put it in the sack.
Okay.
Yeah, put it in the sack and then throw it out a window. That was great experience.
So you were
And then
a
you
little
got
bit,
paid. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you had a better body back then.
Oh, come on. Gee, cheap shot.
Yeah, it was cheap shot.
I can't talk.
Oh, get him, Hyukjun.
I was like 15 kilogram at that time. I was,
Oh,
I
wow.
was
15 kilos?
yeah,
Or
I was
50?
really thin.
Mm.
50. I was
Oh,
really
50. Yeah.
I was really thin all the way to my life. But yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
my
that was,
first,
that was really cheap shot, man.
I'm sorry, buddy. I can't talk. My first job was in 1999, 2000, and Sydney got the Olympics. And my dad became an accountant for one of the pin making companies.
Mhm.
So everything, all those pins, they put it on a little cardboard. That was all done handmade. So he'd bring home all these cardboards and pins, and I'd have to put the pins on the cardboards. And I forget how much I got paid, maybe a couple of bucks for every 10 or 20 I did or something like that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my first job. And part of his benefits was he got a whole set of all these Olympic pins. I think we got 2 or 3 sets. And sometimes they're worth a bit of money, these things. People go around Olympics and trade pins. Instead of going to events, they just trade Olympic pins. So yeah, that was my first job.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
that is
Yeah,
pretty
I still
cool.
remember my very first paycheck. The amount was $133.50, and I thought,
Wow.
wow, I'm gonna live like a king now. Even though I was way underpaid at the time, but at 16 years old, I was like, wow, I got over $100. I think the first
Living
thing
at
I
home,
bought with
that
it was
makes good.
the first the iPod, that big bulky one. I remember that. Mhm.
Nice. And let's go to some unique jobs. Hyukjun, I know you sort of hinted me what your unique job was. Do you want to tell me?
All right. This was my second job in Australia. I was in Darwin at that time, and well, there's a very big crocodile farm in Darwin,
Oh boy.
and I was the feeder.
Oh
of the
gosh.
I want to see
crocodiles.
photos. You got photos?
I think I should look into it, but
If you find
yeah.
some, look out for our Insta. He'll put them on
You
the Insta.
couldn't pay me to do that. I would. No way. You couldn't pay me
Well-
$133.50 to do that. No, thank you.
$21 per hour. You offer it
No, I would probably still
when
turn it
you're
down.
23. When you're 23, it's a crocodile farm and $21 for an hour, and the meal and the housing is all included. What's your call?
I'd probably still say no.
What did you-
Crocodiles
you thi-
now.
What did you think of Darwin?
Mm,
You liked
wait,
it?
I love Darwin, man.
Really?
Like,
Okay.
yeah. Is that something surprising for you?
Very mixed. I've never been, but I've very mixed
Mm.
feelings from people that I know. Yeah.
Well, Darwin is very 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 small town. It's,
Yeah.
I reckon it's a capital of Northern Territory,
Yep, that's right.
but I think their population is like 20,000 or something like that.
Is it that
Very-
small?
Yeah, really small.
My goodness.
But,
I have a cousin. He actually did a study abroad there for a year. He loved it. He
In
came back a
Darwin?
different
In
man. Yeah,
Darwin?
he was in Darwin. Yeah. He's from a small town in Texas. So for him, that place was like the Beverly Hills of Australia, you know? So he was just like yachts and things like that. He was just like, wow, this blew his mind. And when he came back, he was just different. So, but he said he had a blast. He had a very fun time. He got to travel to Indonesia, Bali, because it was obviously right there.
Yeah.
And because of that, I always wanted to go to Australia based on what he said. So
Interesting.
yeah.
And Gio, what was your unique job?
You guys, I never really had one. I've always just
No?
had steady jobs. No, it was either that or I was either restaurants or I worked in fraud prevention. That was it. Just called people and said, hey, did you make this purchase? Nope. All right, you got fraud. Sent them a new card. That's all I did.
Yeah, for
Fraud
me,
protection.
Fraud prevention. So you know when you
Ah.
use your credit card, you get declined sometimes. A lot of major credit card companies will usually send out like fraud alerts just to be sure that it is actually you using your card and
Oh,
not
yeah,
anybody
yeah.
else. So yeah, I would be the person that they would call.
Wow. So
Mhm.
you're the guardian of the credit card.
Basically.
All right.
unique job, but it's not really unique. I just didn't know what it was. So I was working in Canada as a ski instructor for 4 years. And one summer, my first summer, I was looking for a new job just for the summer.
Mhm.
I got quite desperate, and I found this job in Germany. Au pair? What's an au pair? And I just
Oh
signed
boy,
up,
you didn't.
and I went over to Germany for 8 months, and I was an au pair. I thought, oh, I'll just look after the kids, will be right.
Oh my God, I can't picture you with kids. No offense,
And
I
then
just
they
can't
had
see
to
you
do all
taking care of
the
them. Yeah,
housework and all this cleaning, and
yeah.
the dad was awesome, but the mum was very strict and very, oh my God, they were quite a well-off family. And
Sure.
yeah, that was a bit of a, yeah, I tried to quit. I thought about quitting many times, but I also got to experience some many amazing things because they took us to France, to Mallorca. I probably had the most expensive meal I will ever have in my life. It was like
Yeah,
500 euros for a 7-course meal or something.
yeah.
And I left so hungry that I ate Macca's afterwards,
Oh
McDonald's
boy,
afterwards.
yeah.
Yeah.
Macus, yeah.
And how were the kids?
The kids were good. Like one kid was 10 years old and he spoke pretty good English.
Mhm.
The 6-year-old was very fresh, very new with English. By
Sure.
the time I left, we were speaking together.
Nice.
German was actually a pretty good language for me I could understand it and I could read it. My speaking was terrible, just like Korean.
Oh, look at that. Who would have known?
But yeah, it was a good experience. Like
Yeah.
during the time, I was sort of hating it, but I got to experience quite a lot.
Sure. When
Yeah,
you look back
so
at
that
it
was good.
now, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and
yeah.
the funny thing is now those kids would be the 10-year-old would be in his 20s now, and the 6-year-old would be in 18. This is 2009, I think. Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay.
And some other random jobs that I've done as a ski instructor. And I also worked on cruise ships, which will sort of go into the next question I got for you boys. Is working on cruise ships, we do a lot of weird stuff and a lot of unique jobs that we have to do. What's a unique task that you have to do? Maybe with teaching or with a crocodile farm. What's something that was really weird that you had to do, Gio?
Well, I mean, this isn't really weird, but at my current school, it's more so a sports academy. So it's not your traditional like English teaching Hagwon. So I actually have to teach like yoga a couple days a week. I know, and I'm the least flexible person that I know, right? So
Wow,
I know yoga. So sometimes what I'll do during my break is I actually have to watch like yoga videos and kind of like learn like different poses, all these little things. So here I am, probably as stiff as like a twig on this yoga mat in front of like all these kids saying, all right, let's go through this pose and let's put your body this way. All the while, like my bones are like cracking, my knees are just like my whole body's like shaking as I'm trying to balance myself on this mat. And it's comical if anything else, you know, and they're kids, they're not going to judge me. They're just going to laugh along if I play it off as well. That was one of the first things I thought when taking this role, like, oh my gosh, like I have to teach like yoga, but yeah, it's funny. It's fun. We have a lot of fun with it.
I had to teach.
After this instruction, you got more like flexible, like with your body.
You would think. But I'm about maybe 10, 11 months in and I'm still kind of struggling. I still can't breathe. By the end of it, I have all the blood like rushing to my head after like each child's pose. That's my favorite one. So yeah, it's okay. I mean, I used to do yoga before. I mean, a few years ago, I actually did this like 30-day challenge. So every day I would come home, eat something, and then do yoga for 30 days. And by the end of it, I felt like brand new. It was really nice. But, you know, since getting married, settling down, having kids, it's just kind of like, you don't really want to move anymore. What's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to teach at my current school. Actually, I did a bit of PE program as well. I had to teach swing dancing.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh,
I didn't know what that
dancing.
was, and trying to get like little 5 and 6-year-olds how to spin each other, especially the boys trying to spin the girls, and obviously the boys are crazy, so
Yeah.
the girls are on the floor, and oh my god,
Don't forget the Charleston.
it was so difficult to teach them. I had to the right swing and the left swing, and I had no idea. I had to watch YouTube as well to
Yeah.
teach them how to do it, but the kids liked it. They seemed to enjoy it. The
I
Aussie kids.
learned swing dance in 6th grade. Had a blast. Oh yeah, it was fun. I'm an old soul, so I like all that stuff.
How about you, Hyukjun? Was it in Australia? You had a unique task with crocodiles. What did you have to do?
Well, I think this might not be unique in Korea, but I think it is really, really unique for our listeners from all over the world. So I think basically everybody knows that in Korea, the males have to serve in military.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
I was designated to reconnaissance regiment, which is the people work in the DMG. So
Scary.
yeah, this was one particular day in summer. We are bush removing operation.
Giggity. Hmm.
Yeah, so we are all we are all wired up with our radio,
Yeah.
and then we're like going inside of demilitarized zone, and then this is very serious operation
Yes.
because North Americans, no, North Koreans,
Koreans, yeah.
North Koreans are watching us, and then they're in their we call GP, so
Yeah. And their
like,
little huts. Yeah.
they have this little small hole for the machine guns, and then it was wide open at that
Sure.
time.
Hmm.
So it's like 500 meters just from us. So I was ducked down and then using my knife to remove the bushes, and then the radio called me like, "Hey, Hyukjun, stop right there." Then what? You just across the MDL, this
Yeah.
military dividing line. So
No.
I crossed the border
Oh,
without
wow.
any authorization, and then I crawled back.
Wow, the demarcation line.
That's freaky.
Were there mines in there as well?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure there's
true.
still active mines. Wouldn't you like terrified of just like click, oops, don't move. Ooh, can you imagine? Ooh, terrifying.
Wow,
Ooh, that's some scary
Hey, Gio,
stuff.
that's great thing you just brought up. That is a movie. If
Is
you
it?
step
Really?
on the mine, it'll just blow up.
Yeah, it doesn't click or anything like that,
It'll click, but
but you won't know
it
because you'll be
will.
gone.
So it will just activate it from 9 kilo of your weight.
Yeah.
My God, I didn't know that.
So
That's
if you just step on it,
You're gone.
yeah, you're gone.
yeah, you won't have time to think. It's just boom.
And then
Jesus.
the mine detector, it doesn't work. The metal detector
Yeah.
doesn't works.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Fun
That's
fact.
interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah,
because
it's
all
good.
the because all the landmine there are plastics. They're not metal.
Ah, they got sneaky with them, huh?
Mhm.
That's interesting. It's good to hear from. That's a good story, man. Good job. Have you ever done the DMZ tour, Gio?
I have 8 years ago with my mother.
I did it with my mom actually as well.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh,
I woke up in the
Is
morning.
that
All right,
really a-
let's get dressed. We're gonna go on a nice little trip. She had no idea, and sure enough, the bus takes us out there. I'm like, we're at the DMZ, woohoo! And she didn't want to go in those little blue huts. Like she was
And-
like so hesitant.
What
She didn't-
propaganda were they blaring when you were there? Do you remember?
Nothing. It was quiet. It was the whole area was just still. The air was still. It was an icy cold day. It was like the middle of December, and it was freezing when Korea still had winters at the time.
Yeah.
And when they took us outside where we could actually see the other side, where we could see into North Korea, like nobody wanted to take photos, like nobody wanted to move. The air was so thick, you could just slice it with a knife, you know? And then we went inside the little conference rooms where they have the meetings. She didn't want to cross to the other side towards the door leading to North Korea.
And it's very interesting.
I mean, like, is it possible that you can go to the north side of this blue hut?
Yes, it is. You walk over from one end, but obviously you're not going to open the door and walk right into North Korea. They have two guards standing in front of it to block you from opening the door.
All right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, and also they got the train station there, just waiting for the border to open one year if it ever happens.
Yeah,
So
so they
Oh,
can
yeah,
they can
yeah,
reunite it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Well, when I went there, they were obviously I don't know Korean, so I don't know what they were saying, and then they'll break it up with like a K-pop song, and then they'll start blaring whatever they're saying again in a K-pop song. Like it was very interesting. Like
Oh, that's
very
cool.
loud, like on the outside, very loud, like the speaker was super loud, like almost sort of not hurting your ears, but it sort of gave you a bit of a buzz in the ears. It was super loud. Yeah. Very interesting. Totally recommend people do that, especially if it's just a winter's day or something. I don't know if they're running at the moment, but I know they sort of shut down to keep the soldiers, I guess, from getting coronavirus and all that sort of stuff. But the tunnels as well. Did you go down one of the tunnels?
We didn't.
Yeah.
No.
No,
I
it's
did.
No.
incredible how deep these tunnels are. I'm sure Hyukjun can explain a bit more, but they would dig tunnels from North Korea, and they got so close to Seoul these tunnels that I think there's 70, 80 tunnels they've found so far. Like, I don't know. Do you know more information about that?
Wow,
Hyukjun?
that's impressive.
Oh, that is actually the number is 4, but
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Whoa, what a gap.
No. I mean, that's a main tunnel. The main
Oh,
tunnel
okay.
is 4, but their branches are everywhere.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Come
So
So deep. Yeah.
yeah, and then one time in 1990s they found the fourth one, and then it was like loaded with the like current CBU. You call CBU, right? Camouflage something uniform.
Okay.
The current uniform of South Korean army, and the M16. That was our main weapon at that time.
Okay.
So they had South Korean army uniform and South Korean armory too.
Sure.
It was ready in there.
So in case everyone wanted to invade, they could just blend in.
Yeah.
Just kind of use that equipment. Wow, sneaky sons of guns, huh?
Sounds like
Yeah.
24 or something. All right. I think we sort of got off topic there, boys, but let's get back to
Yeah,
jobs.
that was
good.
interesting, right?
That was good.
was
We're
good.
learning stuff, man.
Maybe-
that was cool.
Maybe I got heaps more questions I could ask you. So maybe we'll do that in another pod. But
Yeah.
my unique job is on the cruise ships. I sort of mentioned once that we used to get to take the guests on tours. That was really fun. Dressed up as Santa, dressed up in Halloween. You do such a weird job. Yeah, so it's a good time on cruise ships. I got over it, but totally recommend that one. These beach parties and stuff like this. We had some special theme nights where there would be like what's swingers parties? Like
Ooh. Earbuds,
like
everybody.
a swingers group would book out the whole ship. And
Whoa.
yeah,
Wow, we just get
You don't-
nuts, huh?
yeah, you want to keep your eyes closed walking on the decks because
Sure.
yeah, that was always interesting.
Mhm.
All right, boys. Gio and me will talk about teaching English here in Korea in the future. But Gio, what's a brief little summary you could say about teaching English here in Korea?
I mean, if you enjoy teaching, if you love working with kids, even if you don't really have it in you, if it's more just like a stepping stone to something you just want to try, I say go for it. You know, I remember the first time I flew out here, I never left the US. And I remember just jumping on this jumbo jet, flying to Korea, not even knowing where the hell it was on a map. And I remember thinking to myself, like, dear God, I'm flying to an unknown country over this big ocean. What if I fail? I didn't know what to expect. And when I came here, I loved it. I fell in love with all my kids. When you realize at the beginning of the year that you're shaping them, you're molding them into these wonderful, mature students by the end of the year who are speaking English, who give praise to you, both the students, the teachers, the faculty, including their parents, it's a very rewarding gift in the end. And I'm, like I said, I'm almost ending my 7th year teaching, and I just keep coming back for more. So I can see myself doing this for a while.
Yeah, so I've done it 4.5 years. I don't see myself doing it for a while, but it is really good teaching. Like the kids are much nicer and more still respect teachers here compared to Australia, probably compared to America as well. I know when I was teaching in Australia, it was especially 21. And to be honest, my social skills to deal with not well-behaved kids wasn't great. So I didn't know how to control them. But teaching these kids are angels compared to Australian troubled kids.
And like you said, there's more respect for a teacher here, I feel,
Yeah.
at least in this part of the world. So
And we'll get in more details about the benefits, but you know, I could probably easily make way more money back in Australia, but my expenses would be huge with rent and car and all that sort of stuff. Here, that's all provided, and I can save and I invest a lot of my money, so I can do that at a high percentage, which I couldn't do in Australia. So we'll get into more detail about that. Hyukjun, what do you think about English teachers? Did you do a Hagwon when you were growing up?
Oh yeah, sure, definitely. Like
what you did? Surprise, surprise.
What's the Korean point of view? That was what I was trying to say. What do Koreans think about all us English people over here teaching English? Yeah.
Be nice, please.
Yeah.
Well, this I have mixed feeling because Like when I was grow up, I was not very wealthy family, but my mom was like, okay, the English is a new thing, so you have to learn how to, use it properly. So
Hmm.
my mom take me to this hagwon, which was the only place at that time have a native English speaker. So I think my English accent is way better than like usual Koreans. Sorry
Hmm.
for offending others if you are listening or if you're better than me.
Right, right.
But
Time will tell.
yeah, I really like native English speakers come in Korea and then, make Korean people go globally. And I really like that. But there's some troubles happening there. As I mentioned at the head of this podcast, there are always someone who have a trouble if you go anywhere in the world.
Yeah, there's
So
always dickheads somewhere. Yeah.
Hmm. You know who
that's
you are. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
all right. Sorry.
Um, okay, if you've been following us on Instagram, we've been doing our Korean word of the day, and we're coming up to Seoul near you. Geo, quiz
Yes.
time. I haven't given you any warning what I'm going to ask you today.
Hmm.
What is Korea in Hangul?
대한민국.
Right.
Yes.
Korea.
All right.
And so, Hyukjun, there's Korea, like most people just say Korea, and South Korea, the Hangul is different, yeah?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, we have different ways to call my country.
Yeah.
So 대한민국 is the official way to call it. 대한민국. In time to time, we call as like North Korea and South Korea. In that time, we call 북한 and 남한. 북 means north, so 북한 is North Korea. 남한 means South Korea. So
Yeah.
the Han, like overall means Korea. So 북한 is North Korea and South Korea is 남한.
So if we say 대한민국, we're on a winner, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
대한민국.
Okay. Gio, what about your country? You're from America, United States of America. What is your country in Korean?
미국.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
You
미국.
nailed it
And-
again.
미국 사람이에요.
And
Right.
I'll challenge you. I know my country, but do you know what my country, Australia, is in Korean?
호딱? No, I don't know. 호국?
Right
Boy,
one,
yeah.
What a
yeah.
natural reaction.
I believe it's Hoju.
Oh, Hoju. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, it was.
It's
yeah,
easy.
it is
Soju,
Hoju.
Hoju.
Yeah, it's Hoju. Yeah.
And then a really interesting one, because especially if you buy computers here in Korea or a phone, like comes in the Korean language, and to try find the language for English. Gia, what's English in Korean?
용가?
Yeah, it's like 95% correct.
I'll take it.
영어.
용가.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The more
영어.
important one, we'll put it on a word of the day. So keep an eye out for it on Instagram. You need to find this one when you're trying to change the settings back to English.
Oh
If you
my
ever
gosh.
experienced that.
I can't even
Or a
find
lot of-
settings in Korean. That's the
Yeah.
hard part. Just finding the damn settings. Mm-hmm.
So that's an important one. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Gio, we've just launched YouTube. Do you want to explain a bit about that?
Yeah, I'm super stoked about this one. So
Mm.
yesterday, I set up our YouTube channel. We talked briefly in the last episode that we're going to be starting vlogs going forward. Last Saturday, we shot our first vlog. So the premiere of that vlog will be appearing tomorrow, Korean Standard Time at 9 a.m., which will be in the evening for most Western countries. So check it out. You'll find the link posted both on Instagram as well as our website. I've added a link for YouTube that will take you right to our page for you to view.
Yeah, and also we've got our website. We've got a bit of a forum going. We're slowly building that community. So hop on, ask us any question. I probably don't know the answer, but one of the boys will answer you. If you've got anything to ask about coming to Korea, any questions about food, just go on the forum and ask us. We'll answer it. We got plenty of time to do it, especially coming up.
Oh, yeah. Well said.
I think, boys, we're almost done. I think we nailed that one. Got anything else to say, Hyukjun?
Well, thank you always for our listeners. I think we are growing your interest and your support. So come up with our website and our Instagram, and then leave any questions you want to ask for us, and then give us comments about our little show.
I'm really excited to
Absolutely.
bring this up. Now that you mentioned this before, one side note, like in the 2 weeks that we've been doing this, like we've received, I don't know about you guys, but for my friends personally, I've been receiving lots of like feedback and they really love the Korean word of the days. Like a
Yeah.
lot of them like really look forward to that. So I like the fact that, we are compiling them, we're throwing up there for you, for your benefit, and you're enjoying them. So it means a lot to hear feedback like that. So I just want to give a shout out to Sal and Susan for that advice. Thank you guys so much for listening. And we'll be doing that just for you.
All right. Later, boys.
All right. Take care, everybody.
All right.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
너 들었어?
핸드폰 갖고 가.